Vern.
Oceans, Kevin.
Vern, I have a friend of mine just reintroduced me to a memory that we all share, and I thought maybe we would put it on this show that Don Henley would call Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
So this was reintroduced into my life by our friend Joe Conroy. Don't know if I've already said that. Fellow cast member on the Puffin Publishing podcast. Supporting cast member on Doomed to You. Trevor, my opponent on Quadroads Monopoly on Jacob Kelleher's Twitch channel. And it's... I don't know how to feel about this memory. Like, if this memory was an inside-out orb, I don't know what color it would be. I don't know which feelings would have laid their grubby mitts on this memory orb.
Yeah, it's a thing that occupied my brain space for a long time, but just because we were not in that environment anymore, I had forgotten about until Joe reminded us of it. And it's a thing that I too do not feel about. Do not know how I feel about. I feel about, but I do not know how I feel about.
I don't have complicated feelings about it because, like, oh, this is not who I am. This is not, this doesn't, I can't believe I did that. Because it makes perfect sense how and why you and I together could have pulled this off. It's complicated in that it's very illustrative of who we are as people.
Yeah. Let's tell the audience what we're talking about. And because I remember it, but I only remember it. I remember it happening, but I don't remember how it came about. Okay. So I need a refresher as well.
And human memory is a godless wasteland, but I will try to summarize it to the best of my recollection. So it would have been 2016. You and myself were living with Joe Conroy. I had been single for quite a while, partially through my knowledge that, I'm moving to New York, I don't want anything to tie me down, partially through my status as an incel. And you were, at the time, out of your relationship with your current wife. The two of you had split.
Yeah, 2016, and it was, dumb assholes always say, it's not you, it's me. But genuinely, it was me. 2016 was just a rough time for me. And there's another fun thing that happened in 2016 that's tangentially related to this. That's a good KeVern story that I'll share with you once we get over this main hump. But yeah, 2016 was a hard. I was kind of struggling with myself and finding out what I was doing and where I was at.
And we will get there one day. But the two of us were. We were hanging out in the common space. I don't remember what we were doing. I think a video game was happening in some capacity.
I'm sure a video game or some YouTube video or something.
Something like that. And Joe Conroy, handsome devil, comes home with an attractive lady friend. Or maybe a lady friend was departing. Because I like to think we wouldn't have behaved in this way if she had still been present.
To my knowledge, and once again, as you said, the human memory is just, as you said, garbage wasteland. It's completely unusable. But to my knowledge,
it's hot liquid garbage, and it was 4 years ago.
Yes. To my knowledge, it was just us three.
Yes.
I know. I'm feeling very confident there was not a fourth person there, and there definitely was not a woman there.
But I think the woman had just departed after spending the night with our friend Joe Conroy. and I will say no further gaudy details. But Joe let the lady go, and I could not tell you how we built up to this moment. But you and I started this bit, one of our classic bits, where we would say something nice about Joe Conroy's life in comparison to our own, and then say, "We get it."
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of poor Joe. Was
poor.
I don't want to say he was the victim of a lot of bits, because all of our jokes that we made were mostly we were the targets of.
Our own stupidity was the target of the joke. We were never punching down at. We were mostly just torturing him by subjecting him to various characters. Chicken Joe, Fire Marshal Phil was originated through me making fun of or me talking to Joe. Your various songs that you would sing him about his own name, Silly Boy Conroy.
I really I wish I had any musical ability beyond my terrible singing, because I really wanted to do an EP of songs about Joe. Cause
Diary of Jane, but Diary of Joe.
Yes, Diary of Joe, and but of course, if it was Vern doing it, it would be called Diarrhea Joe, because it kind of sounds like Diary of Joe. But
and you have to go okay, I get it.
Yeah, but Silly Boy Conroy, which is I'm gonna do this on a pod, but which was, of course, Silly Boy Conroy. He's just a silly boy Conroy.
Very reggae-fied song that you would torture him with. I also remember the Yuletide classic.
Conroy Christmas
Time. It's a
time.
Conroy Christmas time. A Conroy Christmas time. It's
Joe,
a Conroy Christmas time. Yeah, good song, good beat. That one had a German club feel to it in my head.
Yeah, there definitely was an evening where I spent the better part of an hour and a half, 2 hours, just trying to find a royalty-free reggae beat that kind of sounded like the same meter as Silly Boy Conroy, to, if not do it as an EP, do it on a puffin or something. But yeah, there's a lot of songs about Joe. There's a lot of jokes at our expense, and jokes about essentially just us failing as human beings in comparison to Joe.
Right. So the bit went we get it, Joe. You just had sex with a beautiful woman, and the two of us are horribly alone. We get it.
Still funny. Maybe not to him.
Still funny.
But
still funny. Never to him. Never to him. And this went on. We found various ways that our own lives were inferior to Joe's. Joe, you have a great bartending job, and the two of us are slinging drinks and moving furniture. We get it. Joe, you successfully pivoted into adulthood. We get it. We get it. And that went on for a little bit.
Far too long.
And far too long, and in that exact same unwavering cadence.
Yes.
And something remarkable happened. Is that we shit on our own lives so hard that you and I fell into a 3-day mutual depression where I've had some pretty dark times in my life, but I have rarely broached how bad I felt than that 3-day period following that stupid bit.
To be fair to us, unfair to us, I don't know. I was going to say 2016 was a time like this, but let's be honest. My whole life has been like this. I'm never too far away from it. I'm never it's not
for sure.
it's not like this bit Spartan kicked me into a giant chasm in 300. It was more like I was hanging into the pit by some fingernails, and that was just stepping on my fingers or so.
For sure.
But yeah,
we were not. It's not as if we were on top of the world, and this was the only piece of stimulus that drove us down.
And in typical of like depression, like you remember being in it, but you don't remember how you got out of it.
You just do. Like,
Yeah.
there's the thing about like our depressive episodes is that it's not like, oh, someone showed me something that I valued and now I'm fixed. It's just like I was sad for a while and then I got up and I was okay and then I was pretty okay and then I went back down again. the rocky hilly slope that is this mental disease.
I went through also folks listening at home, I'm sorry for the terrible audio quality on my end. I gave my dumb dog something to distract her, and that was not enough. So anyway, yeah, 2016 was a weird time for me. Granted, there was some shit, because there's always some shit, but I remember, and I think this was after We Get It, Joe, We Get It, but there was at a certain point in my head, there's a certain point in 2016 where I just got it in my head, where just like, I'm really struggling, but if I could see the ocean, I would feel so much better. And I don't know what it was. This is like, if I could just see the ocean, that would be all I needed. And it probably was just because I was watching 400 Blows a lot at the time. I don't know, but like, there was something.
I was just watching this like melancholy French movie about a boy whose family doesn't understand him and he runs away to like a fucking newspaper factory or some
Yeah.
shit.
And probably
Movie that ends with a still frame on a beach. Just can't wait.
I probably would have been better off if I went to a newspaper factory. But like, I don't know, like I got it in my head this like I just needed to see the ocean. And so like I decided like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And I took like a weekend, asked for some days off work, and I went to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. And the reason I chose there was because I lived in Florida and I wanted to see, it's the same ocean, but I wanted to see a new segment of the ocean. But like, I drove out there and I was just like gung-ho about it that like, I did the whole drive in one straight trip. I drove, the 16, 17 hours from Missouri to South Carolina in one go. And and there was a handful of times where I was like, all right, well, I should take a nap and whatever. And I'd pull over, but like I was just like, I gotta get there, that I couldn't sleep. And the first thing I saw once I crossed South Carolina, the border into South Carolina, was a big sign advertising an African graveyard, which was a huge bummer. Did not help the situation at all. And I was like, oh, cool. I knew racism was alive, but I didn't realize to the extent that it was. Like, granted, they treated it as like a historical site, but come on. But I got to Myrtle Beach, and I was like, all right, well, I couldn't sleep on the drive here, so I'll just take a nap on the beach. And I laid there, and I couldn't. I just couldn't sleep because I was so like, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go swim. And I went to the ocean, and Kevin, when you are depressed, you are tired. And whenever you drive for like 16 hours straight and then hang out on the beach for an hour after that, when you've been awake for like 17 hours straight, 17 hours plus, like that also makes you tired. And so I went out into the ocean, and like almost immediately once I got into the ocean, I got sucked into a riptide.
Jesus.
And whenever you're like at your most cognizant and you know what's going on, but you suddenly get thrust into like a life or death situation. You have trouble putting like A to B. But then whenever you add on like you've been awake for 17 hours plus you're depressed, like those senses are severely dumbed down. And so like I know in real life, like if you ever get sucked into a riptide, you swim parallel to the shore, not towards the shore. But in my tired, depressed, anxiety, whatever, I'm like, I'd start paddling towards the shore. And all that does is get you sucked more and more out into the ocean. And so there was a point where maybe for like a frame of my life, not even a second of my life, but a frame of my life where I was like, well, I'm going to drown. This is it. This is it for me. And then after that frame, while I'm drowning, all I can think of is like, oh my God, this is so going to look like to everyone that I did this on purpose. That I intentionally just drove out in this big ceremonial like plan to just off myself. And all I could think of is while I'm like floundering is like, no, it was not on purpose. All I could think about is just being a ghost and looking at my own funeral, and they're like, wow, he really did. And me just like, no, guys, I know I'm depressed, but I'm not suicidal. I'm just stupid.
I'm just a dummy. I don't want anyone to think I killed myself. I died out of my own stupidity.
It's like,
come
guys,
on.
It was planned to go to the ocean, but that was it. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. And all I could think about was that. And then at the time I had Snapchat, and the very last thing I posted to social media before going into the ocean was a video of just my feet in the ocean while the waves were coming in, and like that's the last thing I'm going out on as far as social media goes. This looks like a suicide note, like a digital suicide note. And so I couldn't even, like, in that moment just be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. All I could think was like, you idiot! Everyone's going to think you did this on purpose. Oh my God, it was, once I got out, I survived. I don't know if God realized, like, this is not the kind of comedy I'm a fan of. I don't want this dark a comedy. I don't know what it was. But I got spit out, and once I got onto the shore and caught my breath, oh boy, did I laugh really hard. But
what else are you gonna do, bud?
But yeah, 2016 was a rough time.
Was a rough one. Now, oh boy, correct my memory if I'm wrong. Wasn't there some kind of presidential election?
Oh yeah, that did not help the situation any.
That did not help. Why I remember
No.
getting together with our pal Justin Germeroth at his place, and we were going to watch the election coverage, and we were gonna crack open some cold ones and have ourselves a laugh. And then the night started with like, oh, this raucous back and forth. We were saying, oh, don't fuck me, Florida. Don't fuck me, Florida. Like we were having a laugh. We were having a good time. And then slowly over the course of the evening, as states continued to report in, it got real fucking quiet at that little soiree, at that little bro sesh. We started I mean, it's not funny, but it is like...
it is.
Just like feeling the energy be sucked out of a room in a way I've rarely experienced.
I had a bad feeling. Whenever I woke up that day, I just had a bad feeling, and I could not shake it. And so I did what anyone does whenever they have a bad feeling they can't shake. And I got day drunk at a Bollywood movie in the Mid Rivers Mall, and
Hell yeah,
snuck a bunch of beer into a screening of Kashmira at the AMC there, and got day drunk because Bollywood movies are like 6 hours long. And
Oh,
so
for sure.
and I was
The beautiful thing about Bollywood, it's like they think they'll never be able to make a movie again. So you watch a Bollywood movie and they have everything. They have songs, they have drama, they have comedy, they have action. Like you can watch a Bollywood movie and get the entire buffet of what cinema has to offer.
Yeah, they're fun, but not if you're like, not if you go in there with a doom cloud over your head and with the idea.
Oh, no.
But I remember after that, I went to my then girlfriend Nicole and I had gotten back together. I went to her house, and I think I might have drank there more. Not that I'm a big drinker, but just that day I was. Just that one day I had a blowout. But I remember waking up at like 2 a.m. and hearing the TV in the other room, and it was him giving a speech, and I was like, oh God. And I remember having a missed call from you. I had a voicemail from you, and it was you just like, Vern!
I do not remember leaving you a voicemail.
Yeah,
what happened?
It was a long, impassioned voicemail. It was a long, like, babe, no, please, no, wait, babe, from Hot Rod kind of voicemail.
Babe, no, wait, no, babe, no, wait.
But it was that, and it was you telling me that I had to do Mark Twain on Puffin. Like, I had to keep doing him, and
it's important.
Yeah,
we'll save
like,
the nation.
I think at
with
one point,
Mark Twain.
I think at one point, and this is not like me trying to like build myself up or anything, because as you've heard from this podcast, that's not what we do here. But I feel like I remember you saying like, "We need you now more than ever." And then, so like the following Thursday, whenever we recorded, the very first thing I did when we did that Puffin session, I was like, all right, guys, let's pull this Band-Aid off. And I just did this long, sad rant as Mark Twain into a microphone. And I remember you guys being like, wait, what? Why did you have to do that? And so I guess you'd already forgotten about the voicemail by then.
Oh yeah, I don't remember this voicemail I left at all. I remember no part of this. I remember election night 2016. The previously mentioned Joe Conroy. After I left Justin's place, after enough states had been announced that it was just like, okay, I know what's going to, I'm just going to drive home. I can't like watch this slowly unfold before my eyes. And I drove back, and I'm not gonna. Joe Conroy was there, and we hung out. And then another friend of mine, who I will not name here, but has some personal ties to some political families, was just like horribly distraught, and came to me. And we just all sat around like not knowing what to do. Joe Conroy and I grabbed a baseball bat and beat up a traffic cone, which was, somewhat therapeutic.
I remember seeing the traffic cone.
Post beating.
I remember thinking like someone ran into it, like drove their car.
Right, which is the logical, that's why it was a victimless crime. Because it just looked like somebody hit the traffic cone with a car. And we gave it a good thrashing, and just eventually like, I don't know, cried and drank and reached a point where like, well, I still have to go to work tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, like, I think for whatever reason I had the day off after, because I was working at weekends only, and it was a Wednesday, so of course I had Wednesday
We're
off.
closed.
We're closed, and
that's very local joke.
We're on two separate in kayfabe. We're on two separate coasts, and none of those coasts would get that joke. But nope. I remember like I had that day off, and I went to I can't remember where I went to a grocery store for whatever reason, and the whole atmosphere, like, there was so somber. Like, it felt like,
Dude, okay, I'm glad you said it, because I've also talked about this, like, the day after Election Day. Everything was just quiet.
yes,
And I was in, like, we were in a St. Louis suburb, but it still would have, like, the place I was in voted red, you know?
Yeah.
And I went to Starbucks the next day to, like, do my job, and all the employees, all the customers, even the ones that, like, okay, I know this guy, I know he probably voted for Trump, no one was in a good mood.
yeah. It felt
It
like
was just quiet.
it felt like the grocery store did not have like the internal like Schnooks FM on or whatever. You know what I mean? That's how quiet.
Or
it
they
felt.
had turned it down.
Or
Like,
yeah.
everything was just... I remember driving with, like, the windows down, and no one was playing loud music from their cars. No one was making a ruckus. It was just so somber.
Yeah,
that
and
day.
I remember whenever I was at the grocery store, and I can't remember what the hell I got, but like the cashier was like, literally was like, "Did you find everything all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." She goes, "That's good, that's good."
Okay.
And like, and that was our exchange. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It
there
was-
was no, like, no one was smiling, no one was causing a ruckus at the fucking grocery store if, like, their coupon was expired. Like, it was did you find everything okay? And you're like, I don't know. I just kind of, like, ran my hand through the frozen food section.
yeah, like,
And just, like, put it in the basket. Did it matter what kind of Hot Pockets I got? No. Did
like
it?
I feel like honestly, like I could have walked through that grocery store just like butt ass naked and like walked backwards the entire time, and no one would have even paid any mind. You know what I mean? Like it was so like, it was just it felt, you know, those scenes in movies where it's like after a traumatic event. It was just that. It was just this collective like worldwide trauma. It was so quiet, and I remember Forrest came over to color Doom to You, and that didn't happen. And there was this
How could it?
Yeah, and there was just more of that kind of just like he came over and he was at the apartment, and I think you might have been there by then, and it was just more just like, yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna do, yeah, okay, you know, it was just more of that kind of talking, and. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I'd never like, I think I put it this way back when, but like, it felt to me what September 12th should have felt like. You know what I mean? Like the day after granted, I'm from it was probably very different in like giant metropolitan areas, but like
Sure.
September 12th in West Frankfort, Illinois, felt like business as usual. You know what I mean? Like they talked.
Really?
They talked about everything at school, but it was just like, you know, everything's going to be okay. You know, granted, I went to a Christian school, so it was, you know, like God's going to be there.
Right.
All that, you know.
Yeah,
like,
you can look at this picture we found online of an angel leaving the Twin Towers. Remember that one? You remember that big one?
there was that one, and then there was this thing that my teacher read to the class, and it was, "Where was God on September 11th?" And it was this whole thing. It was like, the plane that went into the North Tower only had 20% of the people that's normally on it. You know what I mean? And it was like, all this like, well, the planes weren't as full, and the buildings weren't as full as they normally are, and one of the planes went into an empty field, and all this stuff. And I'm like, that still doesn't change the fact that all those other people did die.
As God once said, jet fuel cannot melt steel beams. And our Lord put into our spirit the words of Daryl Worley's "Have You Forgotten?" I hear people saying, we don't need this war.
So the day 9/11, September 11th, whenever I found out, I was walking, because I went to a Christian school, I was walking to class from church, and it was myself, my sister, and the priest, and this other kid, came up to us, and he's like, did you guys hear what just happened? And a plane flew into the Twin Towers in New York. I remember my priest going, oh, that's sad. Like, literally that.
He had the same reaction W did when he was reading, like, The Ugly Duckling to the kids or whatever. He's like, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'll I'll get to that.
Instead of reading My Pet Goat, he just got done reading, like, My Pet Donkey, because he was, it was church. But
right. My pet ass.
But I don't. Yeah, it was just this weird thing the day after Cheeto the Cheese Man got elected, where it's just like
dangerously cheesy.
Literally dangerously cheesy. Where it was just like, I remember just thinking like, this is how I thought 9/12 would have felt, but didn't. It was a crazy. And then like eventually it was like, I can't fucking take this, and I had to run to Walmart and buy WWE 2K16 or whatever so we could make a bunch of Puffin characters in the
We all cope in different ways. And I mean that legitimately. Like, sometimes that's just what you gotta fucking do. Sometimes
you just gotta...
You're like, your brain says, this sounds right now, so I guess this is what I'm gonna do.
Sometimes you just gotta make Mark Twain in WWE 2K16. And
sometimes it's just what you gotta do. Let that be the lesson to all the good listeners out there. Sometimes you just gotta make Mark Twain in WWE 2K16.
It's okay. This is how it goes sometimes.
Second time in 11 days, that exact thing has been referenced on this very podcast feed.
I know AEW's making a video game, but like, God, I would, just in case, I would really like if they had it ready like November 7th. If it could be, I'll play an alpha build of it. Just like,
give me something. Let me just fart around as Orange Cassidy, please. Like, it's all... Like, I need it. Listen, I'll be happy if Biden and Harris win. I won't, like, be throwing a ticker tape parade. But, like, it'll be better. But, like, maybe I'll need to play as Orange Cassidy either way. Maybe, like, okay, it's over. I'm gonna celebrate with Orange Cassidy, or here we go again. Yeah, Orange, it's just you and me, baby.
Just, even if it's just a low poly unfinished character model and like the physics are off, like it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'll take it.
It cannot be worse than what WWE's putting out.
This is true. There's no
whatever
way
their alpha build is cannot be worse.
It couldn't be as broken as WWE 2K20 was whenever that was released.
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, like, just November 7th, if you just want to, like, take an action figure and stick an orange on it, like, I'm fine with that.
Please.
Orange juice dripping down my fingers, and I'm like, no, this is good. This is good.
This has been KeVern. This has been a Talkback Podcast.